right, fantastic. We'll get started. Excellent turnout here soon after lunch. So I appreciate you all joining. Hopefully it should be an exciting and informative session. We're going to be covering and unveiling some survey results from a survey we ran just a few short months ago on the impact of GenAI on data teams. And so excited to share that with you in just a bit here. I'm Mitesh Shah. I head up product marketing at a company called Prophecy. We are the AI native analytics and automation platform, uniquely delivering self-service to data analysts, enabling them to prepare data on their own while working within the guardrails and the governance from your central data platform teams. And so I'll get into that a little bit later, but this presentation is largely not about us, it is about you. And so in this survey that I spoke about just a second ago, we had surveyed 500 data leaders, folks, director and above at large enterprises with $1 billion or more in revenue, and tried to learn three things in this survey. The first being, what is the current level of adoption of GenAI within data teams today? Is it being used? How is it being used? Are folks planning to use GenAI in their data teams, in their workflows? So adoption is point one. The second is around the results that folks are seeing, right? If they're using it today, what are some of those benefits? What are some of those productivity gains that folks are seeing from the use of GenAI? And if they're planning to use it, what are they expecting to see? What benefits and productivity gains are they expecting to see? And the third is around the barriers to adopting GenAI in data teams. So those three things, adoption, results, and barriers around GenAI and its use within data teams. And we did this really for two sort of underlying reasons. One, right, there's a lot of chatter out there, potentially right here at this conference, on LinkedIn. If you're opening LinkedIn, you can't help but see all of the chatter around the use of GenAI and how folks are using it and all the benefits that folks are getting and vendors sort of pushing that narrative. We wanted to cut through that noise and really quantify that to some degree and really understand what's going on in the market today in terms of the use of GenAI within data teams. So that's the first reason. And the second is to share this and these learnings with you. So these survey results, the raw data, effectively the results are available to all of you free of charge. And I'll cover some of that today, but if you'd like a copy of the final report, I'm of course happy to share that after the fact. Just see me afterwards. So wanted to share it with you so that you can potentially see how you might calibrate or where you are in your GenAI journey, maybe relative to other organizations. So that's the background. But before I get into the numbers, let's set the stage a little bit. Do we have any data engineers in the audience at all today? Raise your hand if you're a data engineer. Fantastic. All right, we got four data engineers in the audience. You are, as you are well aware, the unsung heroes in the organization today, right? Transforming data, preparing data for the business. Like when it comes to preparing and transforming data for trusted AI and analytics, you all are doing the heavy lifting and the heavy work of transforming that data, getting that data from wherever it might be sitting into Databricks, cleaning it, joining it, filtering it, aggregating it. You are all doing the transformation work of getting that raw data in shape so that it can be used for trusted AI and analytics. So kudos to you and we thank you, but there is of course one problem, a big problem. There are not enough of you to go around. Right? This is a common refrain we've all heard for years now, and it's sort of confirmed and corroborated by the results of the survey that we just ran. More than half of the organizations that we surveyed, more than half of the leaders suggest that it's very hard to find skilled data engineers like you. So personnel and staffing is a big issue. There's simply not enough of you to go around. As luck would have it, GenAI to the rescue. Right, GenAI can and is helping make people more productive across all of data management, including in what I just spoke about, in the data transformation and preparation step. And that is in fact the area that is most likely to be positively impacted by the use of GenAI, according to our survey. Interesting, if you're like me, you go straight to the bottom right as well, and you're like, well, where is it not going to help? Data governance is one area where it is unlikely to help, again, according to the results of the survey that we ran. So governance, not so much. We'll come back to the topic of governance in just a bit. But the area that is most likely to be impacted, positively impacted by GenAI within data teams is data transformation and data preparation. Now you might ask next, like why? Like where within data transformation can GenAI help? And we've heard obviously some of that in the keynote this morning, and we'll probably hear more of that. GenAI will help in particular, again, coming back to our survey results, in 4 different areas. One being around conversational analytics. Second being around documenting and documenting your data and your pipelines. Automatically testing and suggesting tests for your data pipelines. And speeding data access with text or natural language to SQL. Right, and so if we peel the onion here a little bit and try to categorize these, what's interesting is that transformation is really the last step in this process, very important step in that process right before you get to the AI and analytics. What comes before are 2 other universal steps before you get to that transformation step, and that is finding the right data in the first place. And then understanding what that data looks like and how you might use it. And it turns out GenAI can help with both of those steps in very powerful ways. And so one example of that in fine data is, of course, conversational analytics. If ChatGPT has taught us nothing, it is that typing keywords into a search bar is basically, those are the days of the past here. We can now just type in our request in natural language, and we should be able to get the data and the information that we need. And so conversational analytics should be helpful to us in simply finding data. So finding data, understanding data, transforming data, GenAI can help in each one of these very critical steps of data transformation. And I mentioned the productivity gains and the benefits. Okay, great. So GenAI is going to help our data engineers just be more productive. How much more productive? What are the benefits? There's a lot of percentages going on in this slide. Let me break this down a little bit. What's interesting here is that practically nobody is seeing or anticipating gains of less than 15% productivity gains. Almost nobody. Everybody is or is anticipating seeing gains of 15% or more. And the other interesting thing here is that the actual productivity gains are outpacing the perceived and expected productivity gains. This is one of those rare situations where the reality is actually even better than expectations. So fantastic. Mission accomplished. We can all make you 4 people way more productive so that we don't have to hire more of you. We're done. Right? Not so fast. Not so fast. There's a bigger problem at play. How many of you are data analysts? Okay. Fantastic. We also got 3 or 4 of you, so fantastic. So you know that there is a problem at play here in almost every organization where you've got to prepare, you've got to get some data, you've got to analyze it. You're talking to your data engineer counterpart and you say, okay, I need data mapped this way or transformed that way because you know the business rules about how that data should be transformed. You talk to your data engineer, they go do it, they send it back, and something got missed. A mapping got missed, a transformation step got missed, the data changed underneath, and you end up in this relay race, this vicious cycle that goes potentially weeks or even months on end. And in fact, one of our customers told us that this process takes typically 3 months of back and forth before analysts get the data that they need for their analytics. So that is an insidious problem. It's a process issue, not a technology issue, where there's all this back and forth happening within organizations. And the impact of that is very real, right? Analysts, you're not getting the data that you need to analyze. And even from a data engineering perspective, now you're sitting here going back and forth instead of working on building, as Ali Gotzi said earlier this morning. So what's the answer? The answer is to bring the data analysts, quote unquote, back into the game. And I'll explain what I mean by back in just a moment, but let's bring you back in the game. Just as GenAI can help make data engineers more productive, it can also help data analysts get data now on their own, right? Through conversational analytics, through natural language. There is no longer a barrier for you to be able to prepare data on your own. And so this is now a great simplifying function for everybody to be able to be more productive and in fact use GenAI to transform and prepare data on your own. So AI will, of course, help, but it is not a free pass. The gains that I suggested earlier, that I reported on earlier, are so powerful that in our survey results, we found that data leaders would basically green light 25% of those data leaders would greenlight any project with AI at its core. But on the flip side, all these projects still need to go through some governance review. And I see some of you nodding your heads, yes, of course they've got to go through governance. Right, at the either project level, department level, company level, these projects have to go through some governance review, and that stands to reason because now potentially you're using LLMs, you're very concerned about sensitive data going out to these LLMs, so there is that governance aspect around security and privacy. There is also a bit of a hangover that many organizations have with governance from the previous way to enable analysts to serve yourselves and prepare data on your own. And so there are these legacy tools out there in the market, and I'll just name names, like Alteryx, just as an example, where potentially you've got to copy data. And in fact, many of these cases, you have to copy data over to your workstations, and these are samples of data, copies of data, so that you can then transform it and prepare it on your own. There is a huge problem with having to be able to do that, with copying that data off of your cloud data platforms and onto your own systems. You've now introduced a huge level of governance risk for your organization that they've now got to go fix and address. Right? Data analysts, you can now prepare data on your own, but you've got copies of the data, and therefore, if you're just working on sample sets, you've now got to work with your data engineer to push those workflows into production. There's a cost element associated with that. You can prepare data on your own, but there's now a quality issue. Every one of you can be, or every one of us can be transforming and preparing data in different ways. And that's not a good thing from a consistency perspective, a standardization perspective. You may not be conforming with company policy. This is the quality issue. And of course, there's a security issue because, again, if you're copying data off the data platform, there's now a permissions nightmare that your central data platform teams have to go manage and address. So huge governance risk here from a cost, quality, and security perspective. And that is the problem that we address really uniquely. Again, now coming back to prophecy, so I'm gonna bring it home now. We are, again, the AI native analytics and automation platform, uniquely helping all data analysts serve yourselves, preparing data on your own, and again, by working within the governance and the guardrails set by your central data platform teams. Kind of see this screenshot here in the middle. AI is a part of it. We have agents that you can use and a conversational interface that you can use to find and understand your data. You've also got a visual interface that you can use to then understand what's going on under the hood, right? It's easier to find out what the transformations are doing when you can look at it visually. What's not shown here is we also have a coding IDE that will show you the SQL, the standard SQL on the back end. So it's a platform really for everybody, from data analysts to data scientists to data engineers that can work on one platform and collaborate. So don't take my word for it. We have a mini case study here from Amgen. Everybody knows Amgen? Yeah. So Amgen, they're standardizing on Databricks, and they've got different teams out there that are still using legacy tools like Alteryx to prepare data on their own. Their finance team is creating dashboards. They're creating dashboards to understand and do financial reporting. They're creating those dashboards to figure out where to do some resource allocation, whether it's for human resources or asset allocation. But their finance team was using Alteryx, and before Alteryx, many years ago, they were using what we all use, probably still use, the cockroach of the data universe, Excel spreadsheets. Right, big problem with that. When you're passing along files that go report.final, report.final, final, report.final, final. This is a completely unscalable and untenable solution, and so they had to move Excel spreadsheets, particularly for financial reporting and for their dashboards, and so they moved over in their second epic here, is what I call it, to a legacy stack that included Alteryx at the top to be able to enable their analysts to prepare data on their own, and a mix of legacy data warehouses that did not include Databricks, of course, and a mix of legacy data warehouses. So they moved to that, but they found, as I just reported on here, and I just mentioned, a bunch of governance problems around the manual security and governance that was required. Around the skills gap, where yes, you had analysts that could prepare data on their own, but now you had central data platform teams that actually weren't familiar with Alteryx, but had to manage that environment. You had central data platform teams that were on Databricks, you had data analysts that were on Alteryx. Those two don't meet. Then you had a cost issue, not just from a licensing perspective, but also from the perspective of now having to rework those workflows for production. So big challenges here on the legacy stack. They then transitioned to Databricks and solved some of those problems. Right? They now had a robust and excellent, repeatable, scalable environment, but one problem remained. It's remained a very coding-centric environment that many analysts could not use. It was not a visual environment. And so Prophecy, in this case, helped complete the stack. They moved to Prophecy on Databricks and saved just over $500,000 in part by retiring some of those legacy systems, including Alteryx. They had much faster KPI refreshes. Of course, a big part of that was Databricks. And now they had the biggest benefit of them all, which was a production-ready system that provided self-service for their analysts while working within the governance and guardrails of their central data platform teams. So Amgen is one of many large enterprises that is now standardizing on Prophecy for enabling analysts for self-service. Another one being, anybody attend the keynote this morning with Jamie Dimon? JPMC is also a customer. So many of these customers have been on Prophecy now for years, and we are enabling them again with a way to have their analysts prepare data on their own, working within the governance and guardrails of their central data platform team. So you see some of those logos on the right. I will just quickly mention that Databricks is one platform that we of course support. We're here at the Databricks conference. We will also support Snowflake and BigQuery. And the final thing I will mention is if anybody is using a legacy ETL solution like an Alteryx, potentially an Informatica, we will give you ways to modernize off of those systems and effectively build those pipelines and move those pipelines over to Databricks in a semi-automated way. So with that, if you'd like to hear more and maybe get a demo of what I just shared, we'd love for you to kind of take a step back. We're about 20 feet away at a booth right here in number 515. I'll be here for a few minutes, and you're welcome to follow me over, and you can get a demo of it for yourself. I thank you for attending.